I didn't really even know what God was or that he existed. Pretty much had no idea who he was or he was even there until probably junior high school. My story began when I was probably 16 years old. I was at a rough point in my life. Recently broke up with my girlfriend at the time, struggling with depression. I was just in a really bad place. And depression for me wasn't just in my mind, it was in my body. Like, I was just tired and didn't want to do anything and just didn't know what my purpose was. It was a struggle to get out of bed. You know, it was a struggle with everything. Growing up in Millbury, I was one of the only minorities in my grade, in my class. Everyone made a big deal about it, and I made a big deal about it myself, and it took a long time for me to accept who I am. I mean, this one particular event, some neighbor kids had put a garbage bag of trash on our doorstep and said Happy Kwanzaa on it. I was probably 12 at the time. It was hard to understand at first. Kind of made me grow up a little bit in my head and realize what actually was happening. Almost just felt uncomfortable in my skin after that. I grew up in a family of non-believers. God was never really in the picture. God was never really, in my head. People didn't talk about him. No one at school talked about him. I didn't really even know what God was or that he existed. Pretty much had no idea who he was or he was even there until probably junior high school. Struggled with my faith up until then, didn't really believe in God. I just came home from school one day and I went into my room and asked God, if you're real, please let me know, reveal yourself to me. I listened to this song that my best friend Zach showed me, Oceans by Hillsong. And those lyrics, they just immediately came over me. And I felt the presence of God and the Holy Spirit and this warm, tingly feeling come over my body. And I just fell into tears of joy, because for the first time I felt God's presence. I started going to church for a little bit in sophomore year with my best friend, and I'd gone probably for a few months straight, and really, I found a church that I really liked, and really started listening to these sermons about Jesus and his love and who he really is. But, I was a teenager, my friends were teenagers, and after that I kind of just drifted away from church, drifted away from God. For probably almost 4 or 5 years. And, I was a liar, a cheater, a stealer, a sinner, the list goes on. A friend of a friend invited us to Easter here at Faith Church. I watched some people get baptized, I listened to their testimonies, and their stories were beautiful. It brought me to tears. And just the love and passion the pastors had here, I just felt this connection. It immediately brought me back to God. And I felt welcome, I felt home here at Faith. But then, it happened again. I drifted away. It got really bad. I'd hurt a lot of people, cheated a lot of people, stolen from a lot of people, and I was scared to come back because I felt like I was unworthy. I was scared to come back because I felt like Jesus wasn't going to forgive me this time. I ended up coming back about a year ago on Good Friday, and for a Good Friday sermon, Pastor Doug, he just reminded me that Jesus died on the cross for me. He took all my sins. It doesn't matter what I've done. My slate is clean, and I understand everything he's done for me. He's died for me, and he is my Messiah. He is my light, but he's also my friend. He has forgiven me. He is the God of forgiveness. And when God came into my life, it was like for the first time I had a purpose in my life. I had a purpose to get up, purpose to, become a better person, get good grades, get a good job. God became my everything after that. The reason I want to get baptized now is because I feel like there's no going back this time. I want to give him my all this time. I want to devote my life to Christ. I want to tell other people the good news. I want to work every day on making myself a better person. 2 Corinthians 13, Paul says, love is patient, love is kind. Love does not envy. Love is not selfish. And love holds no records of wrongs. Jesus holds no records of the wrongs I've committed. He's forgiven me. He has forgiven all of us. And he wants all of us to live freely in his name. Coming from a family of non-believers, I understand what it's like to be skeptical about Jesus. I understand that, a lot of people say a lot of things about him. They say a lot of things about his church. The church is not perfect. The church is built by humans, and humans are imperfect. But Jesus is perfect. Jesus doesn't want you to just go to church, but he wants you to seek out a relationship with him. And once you understand who he is and that he died for us, you'll understand that He is the way, the truth, and the life. My name's Payton, and I've decided to follow Jesus.
Woohoo! Yeah!
Yeah.